There's a statement today that says from Tinkler Group that the outcome of this morning's decision to withdraw its privatisation offer has cost the club, its members, fans, Newcastle, the Hunter and Northern New South Wales community a unique opportunity to guarantee the future of a proud sporting brand. How do you respond to that? I think our future is guaranteed by the financial turnaround and the implementation of a patrons trust. I don't agree with that for 1 second.
Can you say there have been any other commercial implications to this negotiation falling through, or indeed the process?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
If the club was in such a rosy financial picture in January, why did the board agree to sell the club?
Because it was an offer that looked too good to be true and eventually turned out to be that way. When someone comes along and offers you $100 million, as it was reported, I don't think there's any business would knock that back of our size.
We've pursued alternative funding for this club for all of the time I've been on the board. That's 3 years. We're a viable club. We're marginal, but sport in Australia is marginal. We're one of only 3 clubs that posted a profit last year in the NRL, and I read recently in some local newspapers that 4 clubs in the AFL were unable to post a profit. Sport's marginal in Australia, and it's appropriate to seek alternative funding. And this was such an option. And we've pursued it, and unfortunately the risks associated with it do not bear us taking the responsibility to progress it.
In Nathan's email, he makes a direct stab at you two guys, basically. Why do you think he's chosen you two to sort of place the blame of this deal falling through on?
Well, as I said to you, I have no pecuniary interest in a particular outcome here. My interests are to act in the best interest of this club and its members.
And from my point of view, it's not my decision. I don't have an influence over it. It's a board decision, so just like most things, it's not the truth.
We might be the face of his roadblock.
He says he won't work with the club under its current management with their,
Nathan doesn't have any sponsorship or anything apart from that loan, which as we said, we're happy to pay back. He has no involvement with the club other than that.
When he envisages paying back that loan, is it 28 days' term?
Whenever he wants it.
Are you guys on
Do we
the
want
phone
to disclose that he
feverishly last night in regards to the Patrons Trust? I mean, when did $6 million guaranteed minimum fall into
the Patrons Trust was always there, as we've said for some time, and as we said
so
at the time,
been on the table for quite
the board considered that at the final board meeting before progressing negotiations with the Tinkler Group. When Nathan informed Rob this morning that he was going to withdraw, we asked those patrons to attend a meeting and got confirmation that they were still happy to proceed.
In all the Tinkler Group's press, it's saying he wants to take this club to another level, spend more money, bring in more resources, and that he's obviously donated money to the club. Why do you think all of a sudden that there's a devil behind what he's sort of suggesting and what he's putting forward?
Well, that could never happen. You know, it surprised me that sort of stuff was reported. As David Gallup said a couple of days ago, we all operate under the same salary cap. So it doesn't matter how much money that you have. You can't just go out there and buy players. Firstly, they're committed to other clubs, so you can't entice them to break contracts. Secondly, you have to fit everyone into a salary cap. So it doesn't matter how much money you've got. You've only got the $4 and a bit million that's in a salary cap to spend. So it's a mute argument, to be honest.
There's coaches and resources. And
yeah, you could get a better coach if you think that's necessary, or who may not be a better coach in 2 years' time, and there might be someone else. Yeah, the sports sciences level, we're probably, I would suggest, and to answer that question before, we're probably a couple $100,000 grand off, a couple $100,000 off getting to the highest level of technology we have. We're in the top probably quarter of clubs, probably a little bit behind the top 2 or 3 when it comes to technology. That's where a patrons trust can help us to achieve that. But when it comes to actual spends, we spend more than most clubs in junior development, and our history shows that. And we've got to operate in salary caps, whether that's NYC, second tier, or top 25. So it doesn't matter how much money you have, you've still got to operate within those confines, the rules and regulations of the National Rugby League.
So what are these patrons getting for their money?
Nothing. They want to ensure that the Newcastle Knights remains a community-owned asset. That's their sheer motivation. They don't believe that the Newcastle Knights should ever be privatised, and be owned by an individual. They believe it should stay community owned and membership owned.
How many of them is there, like?
There's at least 3.
So essentially that's a $2 million donation from each.
It can be more than that.
How long is their commitment for?
Their commitment is a minimum of 4 years.
Is that enough?
Yeah, it is. I mean, as Rob said, we're a marginal club. You know, at the moment we're making a small profit. We have accumulated losses, which people turn into debt, but it's not a debt. If you paid me that $2.5 million now, it's not like I go and pay someone, I put it in the bank. We don't pay interest in it, we don't owe it to anyone. It's money that's already come into the club that we're using. We've just got to put a show on, which we intend to do. So it's like being positively geared.
That would provide us with access to funding that, to coin a phrase, would adequately fund us.
And that would allow us to be at the top level of technology, allow us to be in the right level of coaching, but we've always had confidence in Rick Stone anyhow. We don't seek the services of another coach. It would allow us to retain Kurt Gidleys and those sorts of people rather than chase someone else, and still operate within a salary cap. You know, we are only hundreds of thousands at worst. You know, if you have a look at 24 years history, and we're talking 2.3 million of accumulated debts, it's marginal business that has fallen slightly on the wrong side through 2 very poor years. One that involved the Leagues Club, which sent this club, gave this club a number of debts, and the other one was in 2007, which was recognised that there were some issues there, and since then we've turned that around. So this club can make a small profit or a small loss each year. Having something like the Patrons Trust gives you the opportunity to get on the front foot and enough money. When you consider that we come out of a global financial crisis, go into a full stadium that has 2 sides to it that we can now sell. We've suffered by the loss of over $2 million worth of sales properties for the last 2 years. That we're coming out of a global financial crisis and the economy is picking up, that we enter into a new era with the National Rugby League with an independent commission which immediately puts money back to each club, that we have a new TV rights deal that is being negotiated for 2012. All those things suggest that there is a whole lot of upside in this business.
Is there a commitment beyond 4 years, and is that necessary?
It's not necessary, but I think it will be a commitment beyond 4 years. At a very rushed meeting this morning, we got a 4-year commitment.
Barrow, are you concerned that you've made an enemy of someone like Nathan Tinkler when he could have been involved?
Well,
That's how he's taking this.
I don't think that we've made an enemy. I thought that, you know, Nathan would respect someone acting in the best interest of their organisation. We've never done anything that's unprofessional. We've asked what the board has wanted through all this. We've taken advice from professionals. I don't think he could say that we've ever acted in a manner that would make us an enemy.
Have you shaken hands on 5 or 6 numerous occasions, and it's only been this last bit of detail that's all changed?
No, we've never shaken hands on anything. We had the initial letter which you guys see, and as you should appreciate, you can't buy or sell a business on 1.5 pages. We always said the devil would be in the detail. There's the detail.
That's the suite of documents that arrived on Wednesday evening, and they demanded.
That last lot of documents that's really turned this.
And they demanded a reply and agreement by Friday.
Which we found totally unreasonable. We told them that we would get a reply back by Sunday, which we did, and we worked Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, culminating with a full board meeting on Sunday, and we went back with our concerns in that document. They immediately withdrew the offer.
Would you have been prepared to continue negotiations without these sort of ultimatums and deadlines that they've put into place?
Well, that's the interesting thing. Why is there an ultimatum and deadline? Why is there such a risk? This is the most important decision that's ever been made in the history of this club. You know, to take it away from community and membership ownership and to privatise it to an individual is a huge, huge decision for our members. I always said that we could only go to the members when they'd been given full details and a final document. It kept trying to get pushed through without the details attached, and we didn't find that appropriate. As soon as we attached the details, the offer was withdrawn. You can draw your own conclusion to that.
Rob, are you at all concerned that the members might take this into their own hands, get the 100 signatories and have an extraordinary meeting about this?
Not at all, Rob. As I've said for the whole of the 16 or 17 weeks of this negotiation. The ultimate decision is the members, and we're bound by that decision. It's our responsibility to present the proposal to the members with the associated risks identified as we see them, or indeed if we can overcome those risks before we present it in a supported fashion. Unfortunately, that opportunity's been taken from us this morning by the Tinkler Group's withdrawal of this offer.
Robert, we have to be clear that both offers were withdrawn. We're quite happy to take them to the members, but in its current form, we would not have taken it to the members with our support or with the board's support. So it was withdrawn. You know, we've never had anything to take to the members, even though the Tinkler Group has put 2 offers on the table. As soon as you work through the detail and say, well, we'll be telling our members that we have a different view, it's withdrawn.